Hello and welcome to your daily word. Hello everyone, I'm Pastor Kara, and today for our daily word, I wanted to share with you a story that you may know, but is always a good one to review. It's found in Luke 10, verses 25 to 37. It says this: One day, an expert in religious law stood up to test Jesus by asking him this question: Teacher, what should I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus replied, What does the law of Moses say? How do you read it? The man answered, You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Right, Jesus told him, do this and you will live. The man wanted to justify his actions, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? Jesus replied with a story. A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance, a priest came along, but when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there and also passed by on the other side. Then, a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, telling him, Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here. Now, which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, The one who showed him mercy. Jesus said, Yes, now go and do the same. The term a good Samaritan is now used in our everyday context when we think of somebody who does good things for other people, somebody who's a philanthropist, someone who goes out of the way to help those who are in need. But that was not exactly the context that was thought of when a Samaritan was brought up. In fact, the Samaritans were actually the enemies of the Jews. So by bringing up a Samaritan in his story, Jesus showed us something very significant. What he's saying is that our neighbor is sometimes not exactly the type of person that we want to help. A Jewish man and a Samaritan man, under normal circumstances, wouldn't even acknowledge each other on a road. Like I said, they were enemies. But in this story, a Jewish man who was robbed and stripped of his clothes and beaten up and left for dead was ignored by a priest and someone who worked in the temple. These are men that knew the law of God and knew the teachings of God, but they didn't act on them. Loving the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength also means acting on it. And in this story that Jesus told, that's not what they did. Instead, the one who is seen as their enemy was the one who acted as God would want them to act. It's a challenging word to us as Christians. If we want to inherit eternal life. We do have to love God with everything in us and with everything that we are. But we can't forget that we need to act on that as well. And sometimes that means reaching out and having compassion and showing love to someone who is our enemy. If you have a hard time with this, just remember this. Colossians 1:21-22 says, "This includes you who were once far away from God. You were his enemies, separated from him by your evil thoughts and actions. Yet now he has reconciled you to himself through the death of Christ in his physical body. As a result, he has brought you into his own presence, and you are holy and blameless as you stand before him without a single fault." We were once the enemies of God. And yet God looked at us with so much love and compassion that he sent Christ to lift us out of that, bandage us up, and make us whole again, and then pay a price so that we could be brought into his presence and we could live holy and blameless lives. Are you being a good Samaritan? Are you loving on your enemies as Christ has asked us to do? Loving your neighbor doesn't just mean loving the person next door. It means loving everyone and showing compassion to them, even your enemies. Remember to love others like Christ loved you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Come back tomorrow for the next Daily Word. God bless.